Hey guys, so I want to touch bases here a little bit on getting ready for late season. Doing the scouting, obviously I can't get out as much as I want to, but there's a lot of area that I can take care of and do, as other guys call it, e-scouting. It's a very, very good tool that I use. So I want to kind of show you what I use from watching how other guys do it, and we're gonna take a certain area here on the west side and we're going to go through everything and just show you kind of how I know this area. I don't hunt it, but I know this area pretty well. I used to work up there, and I already know that it's elky land. It's got a lot of animals around it. So I'm going to kind of show you how I go about setting up a plan. For archery, I definitely we're going in on foot or by bike. A lot of times we'll go in anywhere from 5 to 15 miles, just depending on where the spot is. So, and we've got a really, really good plan for this late season, but I set up a different area to show you guys, so all my scouting doesn't just go to waste, and you guys use my scouting to go right where I'm actually going to go for late season. So, if let me see if I can get the camera turned around here. Maybe. Okay, I'm not, apparently. Alright, so I don't know if you guys can see, using the OnX app, you guys can see that all right. So we're right here. I'm setting up in kind of the Enumclaw area. Obviously you got the Cascade range right here. So we're gonna work on hunting right off of this Cascade range up in the Green Mountain. And getting a bad reflection here, if you guys can see that. So I know that this access point coming off of the Howard Hansen Dam or reservoir, try to figure out if we can see this all right. So this access that comes off 1400, anyways, our access point as far as we can drive is about right here, and we want to work this ridge right here. So this is just a bike in, walk in. This is going to be a walk because there's no access roads through this drainage, and we're going to set up to where right here is the start of the water source that's coming down on this bottom side. So the one thing that I want to establish is, what are they doing in late season? What are they eating? What are their patterns, their habitat? Where's their food, their water? And obviously we know that the biggest transition of these elk are going to be from the pre-rut to the post-rut, to where it's going to happen in 7, 10, maybe 15 days. And there might be a few cows that are still hot, but the talking from these bulls is going to go down to pretty minimal. So you're going to be doing a lot of, if it's mid-morning or early morning and you hear a bull torch off, you're obviously just using it as a marker to spot and stalk. We want to try to get up high so we can see. On this ridge, there's actually a spot right here that you can see down into this drainage. And this drainage that's down here is dry right now. Even though there's a water source that comes in here, there's a small one that comes in here, and then zoom out here, the big one that comes all the way down and drops into Lynn Lake. And you have Green River that's running right back here. So come back to here. So this water source is going down both sides. You got a small drainage into a lake, pond, as you would say, and then you have this bowl that works up right here. So we obviously, there's one house, one property right down here that is about 500 yards from this water source and 500 yards to this spot right here. Now this is another 1,000 yards, 1,200 yards all the way across. So our plan is to walk this top ridge. That way we can get and we can see even anything down into here by Lynn Lake. There's one forest road that comes in. All these are just trails. They're not accessed. They're like skid roads. So we'll be able to walk them, but as far as getting a vehicle or a bike or anything in is going to be pretty limited. So we've set this up as a good feeding source. You're right down about 3,500 feet in elevation. And it's going to jump up to about 800 feet around this ridge more. And that's going to obviously give us a high spot. Now, I've contemplated coming down into this ridge here. You got a couple of clear cuts. Obviously for bow, it's good to look at, but we can't shoot 400 yards. So for me personally, looking at clear cuts is pretty minimal. Maybe to spot and stock, but that's about it. So we've established that this is a good feeding area. It's got some real like bear grass and shrub and young trees that are in here. There's a little bit of reprod and water. So we have this as a good feeding source. As far as bedding goes, looking around here, I haven't really established a real good bedding area. Obviously it's going to be up in the trees here. If you notice, this is real dark coming through here. So when the sun is up, this is still left pretty well in the shadow of where the sun crosses. Obviously this is going to be a hot side, this is going to be a hot side, and then you have a lot of shadow here and here. And this was taken about, this picture about 3:29 or something in the afternoon in October. So a couple years ago, but it's still, you know, that's as updated as we're going to get as far as picture. Unless you go to like Google Maps or something like that, you can get a little bit more updated picture. So we have this good feeding spot. We have a big water source and a big water source here, and obviously all of this is going to have a little bit of water in it on this back side. Obviously this water channel is not on top of the ridge. We know that. It's just, I use that for the source. I followed the creek and it does come from up high, just roughly. So we're just off, and there's actually another little creek that comes in here off to the middle and funnels its way down to this source here. So we have a good plan. You know, this is how we would mark out to give us an idea. We're not going to know until we get boots on the ground. But we go in, you know, the day before, we scout it out as we're going in. We could probably come back into here and probably camp, you know, throw up a drop camp right in here. There's a little landing spur about right here off of one of the cat roads, you know, so it'd be a good place. So there's no accessible roads, drivable roads, except for this forest road that comes all the way down here. So it would work out good for, you know, getting in an area that's not going to be pushed very much. So we just had a guy drop off a package, but So it's kind of just showing you guys, what we use as far as getting a plan together. We obviously let our girlfriends' wives, parents know where we're going, and we decided that we're hunting the west side this year, and it was just because of how things worked out. We weren't able to get to the east side. I don't hunt east side elk, but obviously the west side is better, I think. That's my personal opinion. But we have a good plan. We've established, where their feed is, where their water is, where their bedding is, the hot spots of the hillside, what's going to be warm for them, what's going to be cool, and obviously a lot darker habitat to where they can, trying to follow their feed patterns. And as they kind of transition into their winter range, obviously this spot is about 65 to 85 miles as the crow flies away from the area that we're going to actually be hunting, and the elevation change is about 2,500 feet. This is we're right there on that outside of that Cascade Range. So they're going to have a lot more drastic weather change there as we go into late season, late November into early December. And the drastic change up there is not going to be as prominent as it is down here in the lower lands, in those areas down south. So we know that they're not necessarily migrating to a winter area, winter range, but this area does get a lot of snow. So especially usually later December, January, February, it does get a lot of snow right there. And those elk, once it dumps 3-4 feet of snow up there, they're going to have to congregate in those lower areas, or push farther down the valley to find their food, just because it's a lot harder for these animals to eat when their food's 3 or 4 feet under snow. Down our other area, they aren't going to get much snow at all. Maybe up in the very, very top peaks or something, but it's not going to push them around like it is up in this area. So kind of, you have to take that into factor. Where are they going to go to get their food when there is snow on the ground or adverse weather? Knowing that we're hunting down here, we have a lot milder climate. Yeah, it's going to get cold in the at night, early morning. But as far as supplies and stuff, we're biking into this area about 6 to 9 miles, depending on, we kind of set up our core area of, okay, this is the plan of attack, but if it's not working out here, then we're going to go to this area up here, and if that doesn't work out, we can go to here. We kind of set up three areas of interest that work all with their habitat, food, water, travel bed, all of that, and still get us, if something happens, out of the elements, and just have a good plan of attack. You don't want to go out informed or not prepared. So we're only going to be in maybe 3 days. So it's kind of a quick trip. It's all the time what we have right off the bat to get everybody together. There'll be 3 or 4 of us. So we're taking, as far as drop camp, we're taking as light of supplies as we can. We've got a little stove. We'll vacuum pack all of our meals, for breakfast or dinner, and we'll take snack stuff, for lunch and during the day. We have a water filtration system, so if we happen to run out of water, we'll maybe take a gallon and a half of water with us. But I know where we're going, we have a pretty good water source, so I can always pull water from that. Excuse me. And it's on a pump filtration system, so it's lightweight and easy to pack. as far as shelter, kind of contemplating, do we take a big old tent for all 4 of us to sleep in, or I'm thinking, I'll take a warm sleeping bag, but I'm gonna hammock it up. I've got a hammock with a mosquito net on it, so that way I can tie it up. I'm off the ground. I don't necessarily have to worry about packing in a pad or something to lay on the ground. And then I have my tarp that I can put up top to, if it does rain, planning on it. It's Western Washington. That way I'm not soaked. And keep all my gear and everything dry. First aid kits is a must. You just never know. We're 8-9 miles in. Yeah, we've got the phone number that we can call this guy, and he could get us if needed. We could medevac or do whatever, but we don't want to be not prepared for something that could very easily go wrong, trip and fall and do whatever. So I just want to kind of give you guys an idea of how I use the e-scouting, and obviously we don't know until we get boots on the ground, unless you've been into this area a lot of times. I have been into this area with work, but it is strictly a walk-in unit only for every weapon type, so they're not getting highly pressured. The big thing is a lot of guys that go in, they don't want to walk. They don't want to take their bike in 10-15 miles. Well, if you're not being successful, you need to go farther. So that's what we're doing. We were right on them during early season. We couldn't close the distance. We're 10-15 minutes behind them the entire time. Out of the entire early season, I was able to hunt over half of it. And I couldn't make it happen. I was right on them, but they were being pressured pretty hard in a couple of the areas. So this area, I know that they're not pressured real hard. I know some guys that were in there, not as far as where we're going, but they seen elk. They weren't real pushed. And being that you're not going to see anybody in there 10-15 miles unless they're dedicated into this. Those animals that are in there, they're not going to feel as pressured, which is a hard time in the late season because you have muzzleloader and modern happening, and that just blows up the number of people and the pressure that these animals are feeling. So, but that just kind of gives you a breakdown of how we set things up and get a good plan. And if you guys have any questions, you guys can obviously come down. We can look through whatever, and you can get a hold of me. And hope you guys are successful in the late season. If you didn't tag out in the early season, we're looking forward to it. I know in our group we've got 4 elk tags and 2 deer tags. Myself and one other guy, we tagged out on our deer early season, and so we can push a lot of things. I think we got a bear tag too, so cat tag. But we're gonna give her hell, and hopefully doing all the scouting and everything is gonna pay off. At least get us maybe to close that gap of that 10-15 minutes we were doing in early season. So anyways, thanks for tuning in. Make sure that you like and subscribe. We're trying to do more videos and get things going. If there's something that you guys want to see, you guys want me to touch bases on, leave it in the comments. And or most of you guys have my the website, Facebook, or my phone number. Shoot me a text and I'll do some informational stuff on whatever you want, whether it's a product or a style of what we're doing or whatever. So other than that, you guys be safe, be careful. Hope you have good success this season, and if you guys need anything, you guys can get a hold of me. All right, thanks.